Hello everyone, welcome back to the session on Python control flow. Today we are going to understand for else, the other alternative form of for loop, and random functions. But before going into the session, let me just recap what we did in the last session. In the last lecture, we understood the meaning of for with the help of different examples. Then we saw how for can be used at different during different instances. I'll again go through that concept for you to recap. And we also saw the keyword pass, how to use pass to do nothing. We saw for I in sequence, this is general syntax, the body of the statement, the sequence can be anything, that is range, list, file, string, tuple, dictionary, etc. And this was the flow diagram, and this was the example which printed from 0 to 4, because when I give n, so it prints from 0 to n minus 1. And we saw this example, that is adding of first 500 numbers using this range, where the range was modified from 1 to n plus 1, so that it can count from 1 to n. And we also modified this print statement, wherein we had used print with percentage symbol, that is sum of 1 till percentage d is percentage d. So n comma sum was written with a percentage symbol. So you can just go through that session to understand it. And apart from this, we also saw what is the meaning of a pass statement, which does nothing, and this is quite a handy function to add delays in a program. So with the help of a for loop or any other loop for that matter, that is while loop, you can make use of this some range or value and then pass it. So this was the thing that was discussed. Now, of course, the different types of for loops were discussed. That is for x in Python, which displayed all the characters if I say double quotes, and similarly if I say for in this list, which is a homogeneous list, it will display the numbers or the items. Or it could be a heterogeneous list, which may have a character or a string or a float value, so that it becomes an item and it browses through the item to display. Or it could be a homogeneous list of strings, which could display in this manner. So this is how a for loop can be used at different instances. So it is quite a useful function. So whenever you come across applications which demands different values to be iterated or sequences, so you can make use of this. So let us see today the general syntax of for else first, and what is the use of for else. That is, for has one form. This is another alternative form of for else, which is optional. It is clearly written here, optional. Not necessary that you must always have this. Now if you look at the syntax, it says that for item in sequence. So sequence, you already know what could be a sequence, tuple, dictionary, or any other for that matter data structure. Then you have a body of the for loop here, followed by condition. It may have a condition followed by a break, and then finally outside the for it has a else block. Now what is the meaning of this, and how does it work? Now as far as the working is concerned, now if you look at this break, moment a break is encountered during this program execution, then it will come out of the loop and then it will never go here. That is, whenever loop is exited due to break, then it will never reach here. But otherwise, if the break is not encountered, then it will come out successfully by executing all the items in the sequence, and then it will execute else part also. So this can be better understood with an example. So let us see this next example that we have. Of course, this is an explanation. You can go through this explanation as far as for else is concerned. Now this is the flow chart that we have. I'll just go through it quickly. Start, and then we have items in the sequence. Then is sequence empty? No. then it checks whether break is encountered. If break is encountered, stop it. If no break is encountered, continue executing normally, and this goes on. And if the sequence is empty, then it comes out and goes to the else block, that is outside for, and then ends the loop or ends the code here. So this is how the flowchart is depicted as far as for else for else is concerned. So with this, let us go through this example which says that verify the given set of numbers. A set is given to you. There are a set of numbers here like positive numbers and negative numbers, and prove that this set is valid or invalid or not. The set is valid if it is in the range. The constraint is the set is valid if it is in the range of -10 to +10. So any number falls between this range, then only the set is valid. If any number that is not in this range, then it is set is not valid. So print the appropriate message, or you may use that is for else construct of Python. Now let us go to the code and try to see how we can design this with the help of Thonny editor. Now before starting, let me tell you that we need to browse through the list, so we require a for loop. So let's start with the for loop first and see how we can modify the program. For var in the list, so I just copied the same list here, the same list which was mentioned. For var in this, then let us try to immediately take a decision. If var happens to be greater than 10, or if var happens to be less than -10, then you know that the set is not valid. Then if this condition satisfies, then we need to break it. But of course this is not the complete solution. Let us try to analyze it by executing it. But let me just tell you certain things here. Now if the number is not valid, then it will break. Then what has to be done? Then it will come out of the loop, and then let us say I have my else part here as usual. From the syntax, I want to make use of else here, and I want to say if everything goes fine, my set is valid. I would say the set is valid. But what about if the set is not valid? I cannot print it here with once the else is printed here. How do I print the other part? Now for example, if I run this program, you know that 10 is not a problem, 3 is not a problem, -4 is also greater than this, it is not less, 7 is also not a problem, but 16 happens to be greater than 10, so it will not be a valid set. Now what will the message printed in that case? In that case, let us run this. You see the program has been run, but nothing is printed here. To understand whether the program is actually executed, you can put a statement saying print lastly done, and you can run this. Now you can say that nothing has been done. That means the set was not valid. But how do I incorporate this logic in this particular program? Now what you need to do is you need to take a variable here. Let us call that variable as flag, and let us call it as the initial value of the flag outside the loop is 0, and moment it goes true, that is in this block, then I know that it is not a valid set, so I will make the flag equals 1. So with this, what would happen is the flag would be set, and this condition with the flag equal to 1 can be checked outside the loop. That is, here I'll have, if my flag happens to be 1, then I can say that the set is not valid. Now flag equal to 1, the print set is not valid, and the program is over. Now with this flag, it really helps us to take a decision wherein I can print the set is valid or not valid. Now if I run this program, see now what happens. The set is not valid and the program is over. Meaning here you have value 16. Because of this 16, the set is not valid. I can change that value and make a valid set. Let us call this value as 6. Now you know that 6 is less than 10. Now if I run this, the set is valid and done. Now the else part is printed successfully. So you know that the set could be browsed completely. The set was empty, that sequence was empty after the for loop. So this is how you can make use of for else. This, let us go back to the presentation, the slides. So this is a code which we just now wrote in this thing. You can go through that code. Now today we are also going to discuss, as I had put initially, random numbers. Now this concept of random numbers is quite important in terms of computer applications. Especially random numbers are used in computer simulations whenever you want to simulate a situation, or for that matter cryptography, that is you want to generate a random number so that it can be used as a key for encrypting a message or decrypting a message and so on. Apart from that, it can be used in statistical techniques where randomly you want to pick some size of the data, or it could be some random design you want to generate. Even there you can use it. Or the best example would be for as far as the entertainment is concerned, gambling. Even gambling can applications like gambling can use random numbers generations. Apart from that, certain applications demand unpredictable generation of numbers or the design. So there also you can make use of random numbers. So it finds it's a viable thing. It's quite a useful and viable thing as far as the applications are concerned. Hence I thought of introducing these random numbers. So let us go through these random numbers and see how we can do it in case of Python. Now let us see, if I want to generate random numbers between 0 to 1. I'll take first example as random numbers between 0 to 1. So you can make use of this concept wherein you can say random.random. But the moment I say random.random, I need to import a library or a module called as a random. Now how do I do it? Import the random lab module and then say print. You can make use of a for loop for that matter, based on how many numbers you want. Let us say 10 numbers. And then you can say print random.random. It generates numbers between 0 to 1. Now how does this happen? We can go and check it out in the code here. For example, in this case I need to first import the random, and now I would say I want to generate, let us say 10 numbers. For I in range of 10 numbers, this you know it, I want to generate 10 random numbers, but you know between 0 to 1. So print random.random and close the brackets. So this would generate 10 random numbers. Now let us execute this. So you can see here, you can see all the numbers which have been generated here in the output screen, that is all between 0 to 1. None of them is greater than 1. On the similar lines, we can generate random numbers between a range. Let us say I want between 1 and 100. Then what I can do is I can change this value to 1, 100 and change this function to randint. I would call it as a random integer, and this would generate only numbers between 1 to 100. So you can just clear the screen and see here the output. Well, random randint is excuse me, here I want 10 numbers only. By mistake I gave it here, so it is not here. I want to give it as 1, 100 here. Now here if I run this, now you can see here all 10 numbers randomly are generated between 1 to 100. So none of these numbers are greater than 100 or it is less than 1. So this is how you can make use of random generation for integers, as well as you can make use of this to generate in a step of 2 or maybe step of 3, whatever. For example, I want to generate only integers. Let us say 10 integers which are even numbers. between 1 to 100, then I would say this as a range. Instead of saying int, I would say it as range, and I would call this as in a step of 2. But this would give me what? Step of 2 in the sense 1 plus next number would be 3 and so on. It would be odd number. So I want only the even number. So let us make this as 2 comma 100 comma 2, in the sense it starts from 2 and between 100. So this will generate all the even numbers between that range with a step of 2. And when I run this, I get 10 numbers here. You can see here 8, 88, 74, all these are even numbers. None of them are other than the even numbers. So this is how you can make use of rand range. And there is another option you can make use of. For example, I have a list here, list of let us say fruits, and I want to choose from these fruits like we have been doing it in the previous cases. The set of, in this case, the list has been added here, fruits equal to apple, mango and so on. Now I want to pick item randomly. The random item, let us say this sentence is the random item from the list, and I want to add here random item. That is, I can say here random dot choice on fruits, that is on which list I want to add. So this would pick a random item from the list, that is if I say random dot choice of fruits. Now let us execute this. The random item from the list picked up is, let us run this for another input here. Now I got mango, that is randomly chosen item. Now let us run it for another one. Again we got mango here, and now again we got banana, orange. So this way you can see that the function random.choice randomly picks up a item based on its own internal calculations or mechanism, the algorithm. So I hope you have understood this session, and you can utilize this handy function in many applications in future. So with this note, let us end this session. In the next session, we will try to understand the nesting of loops or nested loops. Thank you. Have a good day and a safe day.